Welcome, welcome everybody. Here is your narrator and host, Metal, and welcome to Dravorn faction. Today we are gonna talk about the Dravorn Lord. His name is Err Vuk, and let's begin. The Dravorn Lord was not born a lord. He was not born under banners. He was not carried into the world by prophecy. No priest marked his arrival. No noble house recorded his first breath. No machine archive opened a golden file for him. He was born in sub-level 79 of Gyre Thracia, and for most of his childhood that was the whole universe. This must be said carefully, because later records make a mess of old name. Gyre Thracia was not an Imperial Hive World. The Imperium did not exist yet. Its world classes, tithe ledgers, priesthood and official language of human suffering belonged to a later age. In M14, Gyre Thracia was older than those labels, a pre-imperial proto-hive arcology, an industrial stack of rust, heat, depth, recycled air, failing vents, and authority built so high that the lower levels almost forgot that they had ever been a sky. Later archives would call places like this hive worlds because that was the closest word their age understood, but the boy did not live inside a classification. He lived inside hunger. His birth name was once etched onto a tin identification tag. The tag corroded before he was old enough to understand why names mattered. Acid rain, chemical runoff, old machine oil and cheap metal did the rest. The name disappeared in pieces, first from the tag, then from records, then from the mouth of people too tired to keep remembering what the system did not require. By the time he could work, most people called him just boy. Not cruelty every time. That was almost worse. Cruelty at least admits it sees you. Indifferences walks past and leaves you to vanish on your own. Sub-level 79 did not raise children, it processed them. The corridors were narrow enough that two adults carrying tool crates had to turn sideways to pass. Pipes sweated brown condensation over sleeping alcoves. Warning lights blinked for years without anyone repairing the fault behind them. Fans caught hot air through metal grates, and when ventilation slowed, people complained quietly because loud complaints brought attention. Attention was expensive. The boy learned that early. He learned which overseers struck first at, and which ones only threatened. He learned which food lines ran out before the end. He learned which pipes carried drinkable water after a filter change, and which pipe made children sick. He learned the sound of ration machine made it when it was about to jam. He learned that adults could be kind and still unable to save you. His mother was one of those adults, if mother was the right word by then. She had once been a worker with hands, a laugh, a temper, and a name he almost remembered. By the time his memory became solid, she was mostly a bonded cybernetic laborer assigned to heat exchange and waste feed systems. Half her speech came through a damaged throat unit. One eye focused badly. Her spine had been reinforced after an accident no one wanted to record properly. The system had not murdered her all at once. It had done something cleaner. It had it had used pieces of her until the remaining person had to hide inside what was left. Some days she recognized him quickly, some days she took longer. Some days she touched his cheek with metal fingers and seemed frightened how small he still was. Some days she gave him her ration and told him she had eaten already, which was of course lie, so thin even a child could see through. He hated the lie. He loved for it. That kind of love teaches anger before it teaches language. The food of sub-level 79 came in blocks, paste and grey ration starch that could sit in storage too long and still be called edible by someone who never had to eat it. People joked about it, what might be in it, because jokes were served safer than certainty. If you name the horror too clearly, some might decide you were making disorder. The boy ate because living was the first rebellion available to him. He was not special in the way stories like to make children special. He was not secretly noble. He was not born with impossible powers. He was not chosen by God. He was not outsmarted by every adult. He did not make speeches in corridors while crowds gathered to hear the truth from a starving child. He survived. That was already difficult enough. But he watched. That was the difference. He watched workers hold the arcology together while officials spoke as if order came from desk. He watched broken people repair broken machines with tools older than their own parents. He watched a woman with burned hands keep a water wall stable for 6 hours while a supervisor wrote her up for leaving her assigned zone. He watched a child get punished for stealing food from a bin that would later be thrown away. He did not have words yet for the shape of the wrongness, but he knew it had a shape. Competent, competence below, authority above, waste everywhere. The pattern poured into self, into him long before he understood philosophy. There was one place where the pattern cracked, a ventilation grate near an old maintenance cut, high enough that he had to climb stacked crates and a dead conduit brace to reach it. Most days it showed only poisoned haze and the underside of higher structures. But when the pressure shifted, when the smoke thinned, when the acid weather opened for a few impossible moments, he could see beyond the towers. He could see the points of lights. Stars! At first he thought they were warning lamps on distant machines. Then an old pipe worker laughed at him, not unkindly, and told him they were suns too far away to warm anyone. That should have made them meaningless. Instead, it made them dangerous, because the stars proved the ceiling was not end of the universe. A child can survive a prison more easily if he thinks the prison is everything. Once he knows there is an outside, the walls become an insult. So he turned to that grate whenever he could. Not to dream in a soft way. Dreaming was dangerous if it made you careless. He went there to remember that Gyre Thracia was not infinite. One cycle, a recruitment notice appeared near a ration quake. It was not beautiful, thought it tried to be. The colors were too clean, the smiling faces were too full. The ships in the image were painted like promise instead of machines. Across the top, in bright official lettering, it spoke of colonist transfers, arc labor quotas, generational opportunity, and service aboard Pandora's Promise. Pandora's Promise. The name was almost cruel. People stared at it in different ways. Some laughed because belief hurt too much. Some spat near it, but not on it, because damaging official property was still damaging official property. Some memorized the transfer code. Some looked away quickly, as if hope itself might report them. The boy read what he could. He did not understand all of it, but he understood enough. Bodies needed, labor needed, young applicants accepted, transfer of the world, a future among the stars. He knew propaganda when he saw it, even if he did not know the word. The poster did not care about him. He did not see Sublevel 79. He did not see his mother. He did not see the children licking ration tins or workers coughing red into the claw. It saw bodies, usable bodies. Still, a door does not become less real because the person opening it is a liar. That was the cruelest thing about the poster. It was manipulative, and it might also be his only way out. That night he returned to his mother. She was seated against the heat conduit, one hand twitching with the damaged motor feedback. He showed her the transfer mark he had copied on the scrap. For a long time she did not speak. Then her living eye focused on him without painful effort. Go, she said. The throat unit made the rough word. He shook his head. She gripped his wrist harder than expected. Metal fingers, human intention, a mother hidden inside a machine the system thought it owned. Go, she said again. This time he understood the command beneath the word. Not obedience, refusal. Refusal to let the arcology spend to him. He wanted to promise he would come back. Children make that promise when the world is larger than their power. Adults hear it sometimes. Let them say it because mercy has limits. His mother did not ask him to come back. Maybe she knew he could not. Maybe she knew that if he did, Gyre Thracia would only swallow him with more practice. Instead, she pressed the corroded identification tag into his palm. The name was almost gone. Only fragments remained, scratches more than letters. He kept it anyway, not because it could tell him who he had been, because it proved someone once tried to write him down. The next cycle he stood beneath the recruitment notice, while the ration line moved around him. He was hungry, afraid, but still nobody. But the stars were real. The posters was real. The door, however ugly, was real. And somewhere beyond the poisoned skies, Pandora's Promise waited in the orbit, carrying another machine, another hierarchy, another version of the same old cruelty. He did not know yet. He did not know the ship would vanish from the known history in M14433. He did not know the name Err Vuk. He did not know the Dravorn. He only knew that staying meant being spent until nothing remained. So he made the smallest decision that will become history. He stepped toward the line. Tomorrow he would leave the only world he had ever known. Thanks for listening. This was part 1 of 4, and I hope you can endure my grumpy old voice. Thanks, and don't forget to subscribe.